Hello, kids. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show underway for another day on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Boy, I seem very loud. I don't know if I am or not. I can't ask Bel K because he's decided just to leave the board for the moment. It's 12:04. Thank you for being around on Super Talk. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. Is that right? Is it the 23rd already? My goodness gracious. Was yesterday Earth Day? Did I miss it? Did we miss celebrating Earth Day? I can't believe it if we did.
No, you brought it up.
Did I? I don't really remember what we talked about yesterday, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about today, but that's part of what you love about the show. We've got 180 minutes. That's 3 full hours of what I cross my fingers and hope will be talk radio excellence on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's episode 558 of our proceedings today, and they said it would last. Let me allow you to understand or share with some of you newbies in the listening audience exactly where you can listen to the show, and we'll get things going and rolling downhill. So you can find us, obviously, on the radio dial, 99.7 FM, all throughout Central Tennessee. You can find us, if you desire, on a streaming platform of your choosing. All you need to do is go over to wherever you stream music or information or news, talk, whatever. Find us by rolling over to Supertalk 99.7 WTN, and you should be able to carry us there. If you can't find us on your internet streaming platform of your choosing, then let us know, by the way, and we'll get on there. Secondarily, you can download our app, and you can take us wherever you go on your smartphone or your laptop or whatever you happen to be using. And then, of course, there's Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, brought to you in part by F&M Bank and our friends at U.S. Pest. Episode 558. We participate on the television side of things. Thank you for participating, going over there, joining in, chatting on the F&M Bank chat line, etc. Bel K is asked on a daily basis. He refuses to participate on the TV side of things, which is why we call him Headless Bell. He does offer us our titles, and today's episode is entitled
Introducing a man whose understanding of music stalled in the year 2000. Matt Murphy. Libertarian Lunch, noon to 3. Tortured Poets.
Somebody was listening to The Cross.
Somebody was wanting to jump in on it.
With yours, have you listened to this? I've listened to more Taylor Swift songs on this new album that she's dropped than any other Taylor Swift album in the history of Taylor Swift. Because I was asked to listen to it on the way back from Columbia, which was about an hour from Columbia to Mount Juliet, and I heard the same song over and over again.
Well, you didn't, but you're
okay. So, are you telling me that you're not disappointed with this album? As a Taylor Swift fan,
I'm not disappointed. I would like at some point for her to get back to doing like real punchy, upbeat pop music.
Oh, because every one of these songs was a downer in which she was singing poetry into the microphone. Yeah.
No.
That's exactly what I heard too.
No, that's not what I heard at all.
What'd you hear?
Some really good songs.
Really? Like what one really captures the essence of the album for you?
The one that I thought that really intrigued me the most was But Daddy, I Love Him, because she makes a comment in there about she's talking about one of her ex-boyfriends, and she tells her parents that she...
Whoa, stop. Whoa, stop. Whoa. Taylor Swift wrote a song about an ex-boyfriend? Whoa. Now you're just telling tales out of school.
But,
okay, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to exclaim like that.
Apparently, she's telling her father that she's into him and that she's pregnant with his kid just to shock her father.
What?
That's in the lyrics. She was messing with her father, so she told her father, "I'm having his baby."
You think that really happened in real life?
Yes, I believe it did, because she has an extremely good relationship with her parents.
Wait. I thought you were saying that she was telling her father she was having the father's baby.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you got it. We're back in Alabama.
I'm very confused. That's the biggie. That's the big one for you. That's
the one I'm stuck on right now. Anytime I really, really like a record, it takes me a long time to get to the end because I tend to just listen to things over and over again. So it takes a while for me to get through it.
Just don't.
Shut up, Jason.
Don't look at Jason.
Shut up, Jason. I don't even have it.
I'm so distracted. I am so distracted.
I don't even have it open, and I know it's Jason.
What, have you read it?
No, I don't have it open. I'm having to open it now.
Don't read it. Jason.
I'm assuming we can't say it on the air, can we?
No. Well, you can say the first part. The first part is, has Bell listened to it yet? I bet you're right, Jason. I would be willing to put money on you being right. And that's all I'm going to say about that. This is wrong. This is wrong what we're doing to the listening audience right now. By the way, you can join in on the membersnutrition.com super text line. Oh my gosh, Jason, you made me cry. It is up and running, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Those are also the telephone numbers, and you're welcome to turn a monologue into a dialogue. Monologue into a dialogue, which is always a good thing. Mike says, this topic is making me nauseous. This isn't really a topic. We're just opening the show, Mike. I'll get to the topics momentarily. Just hang in there. We'll get to it. Bell is a man of no taste, and so he
Kiss my ass, Jason.
Easy. It's a libertarian lunch. There's people with their youngsters out and about. What are you doing with your potty mouth?
My potty mouth?
Well, I didn't hear you say he was wrong. So anyway.
Oh, he's very wrong.
What, 3's not enough?
I was going to say that, but then I thought that's
what, was that tacky? That was too much?
Yeah, a little beyond the pale.
All right. Normally, I come in with and I always have a laundry list of topics to discuss on the show. Don't get me wrong. Every moment of my life is in preparation for these 3 hours every day. But today, it's a little bit more freeform because of the manner in which my morning went, which was I was in meetings and I was doing other things as opposed to the regular copious amounts of research that I do on a daily basis to do this radio show. I intentionally stayed away from commentary, or very much commentary, on the death of school choice yesterday. And it was not without a purpose. I hesitate to offer my full-throated thoughts on it until I hear yours. I'm quite interested in what now for education, which is what I've written down as a topic. What now for education? I want to try to go over what has happened over the past several months and ask you parents, especially you parents, what now for education in Tennessee? Are we comfortable with the status quo? Are we frustrated with how all of this has worked out? Are you frustrated with your individual representatives or senators? Are you happy with the manner in which it worked out? For those that don't know, Governor Bill Lee came yesterday morning early and released a statement regarding universal school choice and the, quote, voucher bill in the state of Tennessee in the Legislative General Assembly. And he said, I'm extremely disappointed for the families who will have to wait yet another year for the freedom to choose the right education for their child, especially when there is broad agreement that now is the time to bring universal school choice to Tennessee. While we made tremendous progress, unfortunately, it has become clear that there is not a pathway for the bill during this legislative session. I want to thank the thousands of parents and students who made their voices heard. I've never been more motivated to provide them with the ability to choose what's best for their family. I also want to thank the speakers and leaders of both chambers for their commitment to pursuing education freedom next year. It's very simple. This is about every Tennessee student having the opportunity to succeed, regardless of their zip code or income level, and without question, empowering parents is the best way to make sure that happens. Signed, Governor Bill Lee. So in doing so, he announced that obviously there's no pathway forward this session. The session will be done by the end of the week. Prior to announcing the plan in November, there was a poll conducted by the Beacon Center of Tennessee showing that 69% of polled respondents approved at the time of the state's expansion of the education scholarship to a statewide level. Right now, it's utilized, I think, in Memphis, Nashville, and Chattanooga, I think, has an opportunity to do some of this as well. And this would expand it to include 20,000 scholarships. It was funded in the general fund. It was funded in the budget, but it was not initiated. It was not acted on by the Senate and the House. They could not come together on the issue. There's a lot of moving parts here.
Does that money just sit there?
Yes.
So it won't be used for anything?
The money's parked. Yes. It will not be. $140-some-odd million that was budgeted and will be parked until one believes next year. I want to especially talk to, and I don't want to argue with anyone about it. I mean, this session, it's done. I am fascinated with those that claimed previous to this initiative that they wanted more competition and choice within our public school systems or within our schooling generally. Where are you on the issue of education now? I'm talking about those that follow the likes of Gary Humble and the Tennessee Stands organization, those that follow the likes of Brandon Lewis and the Tennessee Conservative News organization down in Chattanooga. These are two organizations, and I point them out specifically because I don't like throwing rocks and hiding hands. I don't do that on my show. So I'm not here to call people out. I'm just trying to explain to those of you in Aniana what's really going on. Because these conservative groups that claim to be in favor of school choice 2 or 3 or 4 years ago are now steadfastly against this, and I'm wondering why and what exactly they're in favor of now. Are they for the status quo? If you were against this legislation because you believed that it would somehow give the state dominion over private education, then what now then? 1063 immediately responds and says, you never listen to them. I'm listening right now. I'm willing to talk right now to those of you who were against this, but you consider yourself a conservative. And I'm asking you, what do you want? What do you want? Public education is dying on the vine. I've taken a stand that I believe we need to have a conversation about what role the federal government and the state government should have in educating your children at all. My purpose was to infuse a level of competition within the system that currently does not exist, and to give parents more tools in their educational toolbox to offer themselves more opportunity to get a better education for their children, regardless of their income levels. 1063, I'm listening to you right now. Call me at 615-737-9986 and tell me their position on it. Gary Humble can call me. He has never graced me with his presence on my radio show. He goes on other shows and will not come on mine. That's fine. We've had Brandon Lewis on in the past talking about things that we agree on, like illegal immigration. I just don't understand where these so-called purity conservative groups are on the issue of school choice. Are you comfortable with public education as it exists, or are you not? Do you want to initiate change, or do you not? If you want to initiate change and this was not the bill for you, okay, I'm willing to talk to you about what you want to see. What more do you want? How do you want to approach this moving forward? Or are you just against something because of who's for it? Which I fear is what is happening right now. You're going to be against anything Bill Lee stands for, and that's not good policy. That's not good politics. That's being dishonest. $1063, all I can tell you from the super text, the Members Nutrition super text line is Call me and state your position, and I'll give you uninterrupted time to tell me where you are on any of this. 1063 says, you keep doing the same thing about them. You never actually listen to what they say when it comes to the governor and how he's able to fix public school, but he doesn't. I don't know what that means. I thought this was about the governor attempting to do something with regard to public schools to infuse competition within the system. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to listen to anyone that has solutions for public education. Or I'm willing to listen to you if you tell me that you're perfectly fine with the way public education is. I fear that a lot of what happened with this bill was that you did not see support in areas that needed to support this legislation because those areas are perfectly fine with their educational opportunities in the public school system. If you're in Williamson County, you like what you have in public schools because your public school is well funded because you're funding it from a local perspective. And I don't begrudge you that. You're also the beneficiary of a general population where parents are involved in their kids' education to the point where you don't have some of the problems that other public school systems have. We're trying to think broadly about how to solve the problem for the entire state of Tennessee as opposed to micromanaging your business in Williamson County. Nobody's trying to get in your business. And, of course, I use Williamson County as an example. Not as the sole example, but just one example. I have yet to be able to ascertain from a conservative perspective what the alternatives for you are. It seemed to me that the conservatives that were against this, these organized groups that were against it because of who was for it. And while they were in favor of school choice for a period of time, they chose to stand against it because there were certain players in the mix that they just don't like. Leftists don't matter in any of this. Now, I know some names of individuals that stymied the deal in the General Assembly. I don't know that it merits tilling that ground again necessarily, although we could. I mean, there's one in particular that keeps coming up, a name of an individual that some are telling me lied to them regarding where he was on the legislation and then decided to go the other way. I just don't look at, I'm 50 years old. I don't know that I have a stake in this in as much as I don't have children within the system and it seems perhaps never will. I mean, if I ever had any kids, I wouldn't put them in the public education system. I promise you that. It's too fraught with peril. I'm not going to give to the government an opportunity to indoctrinate my children. But what I would like to see is the betterment of society through educational opportunity. I would like to see parents with more opportunity to make certain decisions, absent the financial burden of having to do so, absent the double paying that exists when you pay your taxes and then send your kid to private school. I'd like to see parents have more monetary control over the schooling of their children. Yes, Andrea, I'm 50. Well, you thought I was older, didn't you? Thought I was like 70. I feel it sometimes. Tell me what your big beef with this was. I have a feeling that some of my friends in the purity conservative movement don't really know. They were just told to be against it because Bill Lee was for it, and Bill Lee is evil, according to them. Or the Republican majority in the General Assembly is evil, according to them. Let's find out together. It's 1224 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We've talked about Kraft Body Scan plenty on this show. Have you made the call? Have you made the appointment? I certainly hope you have. Now, several of you have asked, do I need a referral? Of course you don't. You do not need a referral for Kraft Body Scan. What is it? It is a full CT scan of your heart and lungs for $149. The scan itself lasts about 5 minutes. It can give you just a series of information, a lot of information with regard to your heart health, your lung health. Now, I did the full body scan, absolutely loved it. You can stay healthy and get peace of mind with the Kraft Body Scan heart and lung scan right now. This is a heart and lung scan that normally is about a $1,300 value, a little more than that. Right now, it's yours for $149 as a way to introduce themselves to the community and to prioritize prevention of bigger things coming down the road. When you take control of your own health and wellness, it saves time, it saves money, and in some cases, it could save your life. Kraft is all about prevention. Let's get it done. Let's call and schedule the appointment today. 615-436-1000. 436-1000. Did I mention you bring yourself and a loved one for $149? It's just that simple. 615-436-1000 or craftbodyscan.com. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Defend Systems. You know, life is a crazy place. Life is an increasingly dangerous place to live. You heard me right. Life is an increasingly dangerous place to live. And hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained with Defend Systems. They are a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. Brink Fiddler has developed an action plan for you, and you have an opportunity to get him to your business, your school, your church, or any place that people gather to discuss with you how you can be better prepared in the unlikely event that something negative happens in the workplace, in your school, in your church. An active shooter situation, a workplace violence issue. They do site surveys and threat assessments. They offer security improvement consultation. They offer emergency and intruder action plans and rapid response medical, all customized for your facility. It's what they do. Now, the likelihood of something like this happening to you is low, and we understand that, but it's not zero, and that's why it's so important that you make the call that so many others have made. School, church, place of business, any place people gather, you owe it to yourself to contact Defend Systems at defendsystems.com or 615-236-6484, 236-6484. You know, I dismiss when discussing the postmortem of the school choice plan presented by the General Assembly and proposed by the governor of the state of Tennessee. When I discuss this in a postmortem way, I dismiss the political left. I don't know that they are players in all of this in as much as they talk nonsense about the effort to destroy public education and all of these types of things. It's just ridiculous. And not a lot of people are listening to them. Sadly, I mean, it's R-on-R violence here. And as Brian Wilson said yesterday afternoon, and kudos to him for pointing this out, I mean, that's where it's all at, right? This was rural Republicans and more urban or city-based Republicans going after one another and not getting on the same page for whatever reason. Now, in the House of Representatives, there was something for everyone to hate because they decided to do wholesale school reform over there. In the Senate, they really wanted this school choice deal and only the school choice deal. This is all happening under the umbrella of an election year, which matters, And in that sense, I am told that there was a certain lawmaker that was a yes on this legislation in a subcommittee, the Finance Committee. Now, I'm not here to name names, or maybe I am. I don't know. But I was told that there was a certain lawmaker that was a yes, that was a verbal yes to everyone that heard him. And then once qualifying closed and he knew that he would not have a political opponent in his district this year, he flipped from being a yes to being a no. That flipped it in subfinance, and it was never coming out of subfinance after that. That's what I'm told by multiple members of the General Assembly. Wendell is next up in Mount Juliet with a thought on this. Hey, Wendell.
Hey, I have an idea.
All right, let's hear it.
Let's just get the federal government out completely.
Okay, how do you want to do that?
Well, I spent 3 years in Alaska back in the 80s. They had a thing called the Permanent Fund. And the Permanent Fund was basically created because they discovered oil up there and there weren't many people. And they brought in all this federal tax, and there's a law that says if a state pays in so much money in taxes to the federal government, they have to get a certain percentage of that back. And last time I looked at it, it was somewhere around 95, 98%. And at the end of the year, the federal government couldn't spend that kind of money in Alaska, so they sent them a check. And it got held up in court how they were going to spend it or whatever, and they created this permanent fund. And to this day, Alaskan citizens get a check in the mail every year from federal taxes that have been collected in the state and could not get spent in that state. So they get a check in the mail every year. And if the governor just refuses to spend any federal money on schools, then that'll just go.
Wendell, I don't mean to interrupt you here, but Alaska has a tremendous amount of oil revenue. That
was
far. That was
all the federal.
Wendell, I'm not gonna talk over you. I was in the middle of a sentence, but I'll let you finish.
If you look at all the federal programs that we could cut spending out of, and just
who's we? Are we still talking about Alaska, or are we talking about Tennessee now?
I'm talking about Tennessee. I'm talking about Governor Lee.
I don't understand what the permanent fund has to do with any of this.
It's when you don't spend the federal money. You just don't spend
Alaska has the I would agree. I would agree that
we need back to you, and you can spend it how you want. And Alaska chose to give it back.
No. If I promise you, if the state of the situation in Alaska, I think is a little different, Wendell, because it has to do with state oil revenue, and the opening of the Alaskan
situations here in Tennessee.
Okay, I'll put you on hold, and I'll try to finish the conversation in just a moment. Wendell, I want to talk with you, not at you. I don't understand what the Alaskan pipeline system has to do with the state of Tennessee. I would agree with you that I think the state of Tennessee should turn down federal dollars. And if that's where we're going with your analogy or whatever, then I think we're on the same page there. 1233, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin, and anywhere within the sound of my voice, if you're in pain at all, it's time to get with the Dr. Gill Center. That's what I did. I'm a patient of Dr. Gill and his team. Dr. Wendy first examined me. What a great opportunity it was for me to understand what was going on with my back. I had lower back issues, and will have those for the rest of my life, sadly, because of some of the damage I did in my 20s. I did have an upper back issue, and I didn't understand that. Well, I learned from Dr. Wendy and the Dr. Gill Center that it was a spinal compression. We decompressed that upper neck area, and now I don't have pain radiating into my shoulders anymore. I don't have to worry about it any longer. Thank you to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. Wherever you hurt, back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, or soft tissue pain, it's time to get examined by Dr. Gill and his team of incredible professionals. 615-882-4838 to schedule an appointment today for less than $50. Complete examination, a first visit, a result of findings, x-rays, and they'll walk through a path of success for you to get you pain-free. 615-882-4838, the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief. You're invited to head over to membersnutrition.com to see the members nutrition difference for yourself. Take it from me, because I am a client as well as a spokesperson for Members Nutrition. I take Members Nutrition product on the regular every single day. I've tried the Daily Defense Cleanse. It is impactful. I'll say that. It cleanses you of the toxins in your body. It gets you kind of a reset, a restart. It's one of the many products that they have available for you at membersnutrition.com. When you step over there, know this. You're going to pay less money for better product than you will at the big box stores. A couple of reasons for that. Number one, they don't have the big box stores. They are a web-based company, meaning they don't have to pay for all of that, and they pass those savings along to you. It's pretty simple the way that works. Number two, all of these products are made right in the USA. That's important to me. I'm putting this stuff in my body. It's not a matter of, putting a shirt on your body. It's a matter of putting something inside of your body. I want to know that the place that manufactured these, that it's been inspected, that it is clean, that it is sterile, that environment is good, and the products that they use are good to put them together in vitamins and supplement form, and they do it at membersnutrition.com. So go over to Members Nutrition and see some of the categories. They have energy supplements, men, women's health, weight management, the whole lot at membersnutrition.com, and remind them that I sent you to membersnutrition.com. That's membersnutrition.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN discussing the failure of the Education Scholarship Fund from expanding in its current form to benefit 20,000 Tennesseans. Something in the legislation for everyone to hate, apparently. And I'm curious, for those of you who were against it, for those of you who are happy that it has been killed for the session, where do you want to go from here? Do you have any ideas about how to make it better? I want to share this with you from someone that's a loyal and regular listener to the show. This stimulates a part of the conversation that I'm interested in engaging in, because I genuinely want to know if there are honest actors out there that just were against this legislation for any specific reason. Or perhaps are conservatives now anti-school choice? While I'm not equipped to speak on the subject, I truly think there were too many holes in the bill with regards to implementation, and it was too much to address. The liberals that will never vote for this, plus the conservatives that had valid points, were not addressed. And see, that's what I want to know. What were the valid points? In our county, our reps were all on board for the vouchers, yet all the school administration was against it. Well, you have to understand, why are you going to the individuals that control the monopoly or that benefit from the monopoly and asking them if they want to keep the monopoly? Of course, the government-run education system doesn't want competition. Why would school administrators want competition? Do we not need competition within the system? And I'm not arguing or yelling at you guys. I'm passionate about this. Anytime we have a discussion about how to fix public education, everyone wants to run to the public education system and say, hey, how should we fix it? They created it. Why would we ask those that doomed the system how to fix the system that they doomed? I am sorry, folks. I don't take stock in what someone beholden to the teachers union has to tell me about the education system that currently exists. Are there honest actors? Of course there are. There are many, many teachers that recognize privately the need for an infusion of competition within the system. It is the only thing that's going to correct the problems that exist. Forcing the public education system to compete, to do better as a result of said competition. The gentleman continues, I never saw or heard any town halls or workshops to discuss the public concerns. Once again, what are the public concerns? I really don't understand necessarily what is. It's not going to help every school system. It's not going to help every student. But it's going to move us toward that concept. And then my friend continues. And this is a good friend of mine, and I appreciate his responding to me. While I'm for school choice in theory, I was in the middle on this one. I'd like to see them find a way to address the holes of implementation. The choice part of the bill is very lacking. Some counties don't have choice for private schools, and those that do don't have the capacity to take everyone. Maybe this will come back in some form with a better plan to implement the choice. I understand that there are some areas where there are no private schools and there are no options, and I understand that it's going to impact those more rural areas to less of a degree than it will impact some of the more city-based areas. Once again, no one is arguing that it's going to equitably impact the system depending on where you are. It's all just, it's insanity that we do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and expect different results from it. Wendell was on the line, and he was making a comparison to the Alaskan Permanent Fund, and I wanted to give him a chance to finish up. Wendell, if your point is that we should reject federal money and that's where we should start, you will not get an argument from me.
Are you there?
I am.
All right. Give you an example of one of the ways I was going with this, but there's, I'm not an expert. I had a conversation with an elementary school principal in Wilson County about 20 years ago, and I asked him, all this federal money is going for all these different things, and yet we have to build schools a certain way and do things a certain way, da-da-da-da-da. I said, at the end of the day, is it worth it, or do we have to spend as much to get that money as we do to make it? And he said, the problem is, and this was back in the Bush administration, so many things get defunded, even though they get passed, they never get enacted because the money never comes through. And so you really have to go through line by line with the education system, even with Department of Defense, which includes the highways and everything like that, and look at everything and say, are they forcing us to spend $12 million in order to get 10? And at the end of the day, a lot of times the correct answer is what they've been doing in Alaska all along, and that is, you know what, just don't spend the money, and then they have to give it back to us.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean when you say that the federal government is giving back money, because the permanent fund comes from oil revenue, right?
It comes from federal taxes on oil companies' revenue that comes from the state of Alaska.
The Alaska Permanent Fund Corporation is a government instrumentality of the state of Alaska created to manage and invest the assets of the Alaska Permanent Fund.
Yep. That's money that the federal government cannot spend in the state of Alaska because Alaska refuses to spend it.
I'll have to do more study. Wendell, it's a little bit of an offshoot. I'll have to do more study on the Alaskan Permanent Fund. It was my understanding
there's a few states that are on the cusp
Wendell,
of this thing,
Wendell, in order to have constructive conversation, you have to wait until I get to a period.
Yeah.
Okay?
Read up on it, man. Everybody should read up on it.
I'm going to try to do so, Wendell. Thank you for your call.
All right, bye.
All right, take care. I do not know what it has to do with the state of Tennessee right now. I think we're trying to compare apples to oranges. My point was, I thought that he keeps saying that it was federal taxes that were coming back to the state of Tennessee. The Alaska Permanent Fund manages the assets of the Permanent Fund and other state investment. Spending fund income is up to the legislature. The corporation is to manage for maximum prudent return. The fund grew from an initial investment of $734,000 in 1977 to approximately $53 billion as of July 9th, 2015. He keep talking about the federal. I don't know what that has to do with education in the state of Tennessee. But God bless you, Wendell. Thank you for your call. Arthur is next in Lebanon. Hey, Arthur.
How you doing, Matt?
Great, thank you.
I'm from upstate New York, and the funny thing is, I think you guys have school choices in certain areas, and I think if you're going to get something like that passed, you have to measure it. So, how is it working? Are those students doing better? Are the private choices doing better? In New York, we went to core math, and then we were measuring that, and then parents could opt out, which was really counterproductive to seeing how well the new core math is being taught. I just think the governor of Tennessee needs to do more to advertise how well is this public choice doing in these certain areas.
Well, I mean, and from a testing perspective, and that it's a difficult thing, Arthur, because from a testing perspective, and I appreciate the concept and the call, If you're at a failing system that is not living up to the standards of the curriculum that you have for third grade or fourth grade or fifth grade, if you take a child out of that failing system that's not living up to those standards, that perhaps is allowing a certain level of grade inflation, and then you put those students into a system that does insist on maintaining the standards, that doesn't, whether it's public or private, that does test to the curriculum as was designed by the system, test scores are going to go down, not up. If you take your average third grader in the Metro Nashville school system and put them in Williamson County or in a private school, they're not going to perform as well. The suggestion being the curriculum is more rigorous. So to apply test scores exclusively to suggest success or failure within a system in the short term is wrong. What I would suggest is that test scores matter. They matter more in a 5-year frame of time or a 10-year frame of time than they do year to year, obviously. And they're only a piece of the puzzle. I would expect that if you demand more of our public education system in terms of competition, in terms of private infusion, you're going to see test scores temporarily go down. 1251 Super Talk 99.7 WTN, just exploring this during the Libertarian Lunch as to why the failures happen, especially from a conservative perspective, and what more we can do about public education in the state of Tennessee. It's the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Tennessee Men's Clinic is your one-stop shop for all things men's health. Let's talk about that. You know, Evan Bass started the company in 2014 right here in Middle Tennessee, right here in Midtown Nashville. He has now opened a new location in Cool Springs. For those of you south of the city that want this level of support, you can get it at 2 locations now. Evan understands that, you know, life doesn't stop happening when you turn 45 or 50, and you want to enjoy all aspects of your relationship well into your 50s and beyond. And with that in mind, I understand that it's a sensitive subject, talking about bedroom-type activities, and I try to be as gentle as I can when discussing it because I know men shy away from these types of conversations. But here's the deal, guys. The biggest complaint that we get when we send somebody to the Tennessee Men's Clinic for a solution to perhaps your energy issues, your T-level issues, whatever it might be, the biggest complaint is, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I go last year or the year before or the year before that? Now, these are unique plans available to you and specific to your need. What it takes is an initial consultation, an initial visit with the Tennessee Men's Clinic to map out that plan, that game plan. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com to find out more. If you are low in energy level, if you're grumpy or tired all the time, it's time to get with the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com or call 615-208-9090. 208-9090 for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. Thank you for being with us during the Libertarian Lunch. Is it wrong of me that every time I look up at monitor number 2 here in our studios, I laugh a little because I don't want to be 13 when I'm covering this case, but I'm staying away from the Donald Trump case until Pecker gets off the stand. What? Pecker's currently talking to the jury. Why are you giggling? Mr. Pecker has a few things to say to all of you people. You're going to listen up. Mr. Pecker is currently talking about a Playboy model. I'm not making this up. Now you see why I'm avoiding the Trump trial until Pecker gets off the stand? Send Pecker packing, and we'll discuss next.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Senate lawmakers are expected to debate and vote on the $95 billion foreign aid bills passed by the House this weekend, including aid for Israel and Ukraine that was stalled for months. ABC's Selena Wang has details.
And for America's allies, this could not come fast enough. $60 billion is going to Ukraine. They've been running out of ammunition, so this would resupply their defenses and could help slow down Russia's advances. Now, President Biden spoke to Ukrainian President Zelensky yesterday, vowing to sign this into law as soon as possible.
President Biden in Florida today, just over a week before the state's 6-week abortion ban goes into effect, creating a block of southern states restricting or banning abortion access.
His campaign says President Biden today in Tampa will forcefully advocate for reproductive freedom and criticize Donald Trump for boasting about his role in appointing justices to the Supreme Court, which overturned Roe v. Wade. This is the president's first major campaign event focused on this issue, one Democrats want to keep front and center until November. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
The hush money trial of Donald Trump underway in New York City again, with prosecution witness David Pecker testifying for a second day for prosecutors. Before the trial resumed, a hearing was held on whether Trump violated the judge's gag order barring Trump from attacking witnesses and jurors. The judge has not made a ruling yet, but questioned claims by Trump's attorneys that it falls under political speech. ABC's Catherine Folders has more.
Frankly, there really isn't any defense of this in court. His own lawyers know that he's violating this order. They would prefer he not talk about witnesses who will ultimately be witnesses in this case, for example. But at the end of the day, they can't really control him. So I guess it just depends on what the judge ultimately says.
Prosecutors are asking for a fine, but the Secret Service is also discussing how to handle security if Trump is held in contempt of court and given possible jail time. You're listening to ABC News.
Pat Davis is yourhealthplanman.com. Yourhealthplanman.com is Pat Davis. First of all, he and his team offer health plans for individual couples and families. Small business owners, listen up. If you have 3 or more employees, your premiums are unfairly much higher than larger group plans. You need to see yourhealthplanman.com for group plan details. They often have 40 to 70% premium savings for you. As low as $1,000 out of pocket for a major event like a heart attack, surgery, or stroke. Free in-depth annual wellness checkups for every member. Use any provider 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, worldwide coverage. It's all available for you. Friends, you don't have to settle when it comes to your health care. Year to year, a lot of times you get bounced from one company to the next. Don't allow this to happen. Call Pat Davis and Your Health Plan Man. He's a managing general agent for a small group plan and can help you if you're a business owner or if you're a consumer and you're just looking for a better plan. Yourhealthplanman.com. That's yourhealthplanman.com. Pat Davis is your guy. 855-4-PLAN-MAN. That's 855-475-2662. Hour number 2 starts right now. Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7, WTN. Donald Trump is speaking. Can we catch some of this? Can you jip some of this if possible? I'm over on 13. So the trial has ended for day number 2. And as we speak, Donald Trump is speaking in the aftermath of the trial because they ended it early because of Passover. Let's pull this up. He hates that the courtroom's so cold. He brings it up every day. All right, there's Donald Trump speaking before the assembled media outside of the courtroom in New York City, leaving the courtroom after a second day of testimony. Apparently, Pecker wrapped it up on the stand. Why do you keep laughing? That is David Pecker, who is the head honcho over at National Enquirer. And he wrapped up his testimony for the day. And probably had some hard questioning on the part of the prosecution. What? They probably asked some hard questions to Pecker. Look, I could do this all day. If you keep giggling, you're not helping. You keep giggling and you're encouraging me. Donald Trump says that he felt like the courtroom was too cold. I don't know what is any. Everything in my brain tells me not to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Are you ready? Don't make me laugh. You ready? All of this is true. Former President Donald Trump, outside of the courtroom after a second day of testimony, indicated that he felt it was very cold inside of the courtroom and was being kept cold intentionally so. No word on whether or not this affected Pecker on the stand. Back to you. Yeah, so it's a second day of testimony wrapped up. The judge in the case, Judge Merchant, told the defense team that they were, quote, losing all credibility during a Tuesday hearing about whether or not the 45th president of the United States of America violated a gag order in the Manhattan criminal trial. According to Merchant, he told Trump attorney Todd Blanche, I have to tell you right now, you're losing all credibility in the court. Tuesday's proceedings began with Merchant hearing the prosecution request that Trump be held in contempt for violating a gag order that bans him from speaking publicly about witnesses and family members of court officials. Merchant imposed the gag order on Trump before the trial began, ordering him to abstain from making comments or directing others to make comments regarding witnesses' potential participation or the prosecution team. The gag order does, underline does, allow Trump to publicly speak about District Attorney Alvin Bragg. The DA's office last week argued that Trump violated the court order on several occasions, including on social media, and argued he should pay a $1,000 fine for a handful of instances. Prosecutors alleged Tuesday that Trump violated the court order a total of 10 times. My grandfather told me a story when I was a kid. And I think it's a story that has been regularly told. I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but I'm going to choose to believe that he was. My granddad had a motorcycle when he was in his early 20s. It was an Indian motorcycle with a side shifter. Oh, what I wouldn't do to have it today. Or to have my grandpa back today, but that's another story. But Pa told this story to me, and I'm going to relate it to you the manner in which he related it to me. And it's an old story that maybe some of you have heard in the past. So my grandpa was driving through, according to him, New Ellington, South Carolina, which is his old stomping ground. When my granddad was a teenager, they moved them from Myers Mills, South Carolina, or Dunbarton, South Carolina, to New Ellington. They destroyed Dunbarton, Myers Mills, and the old Ellington in order to create the Central Savannah River plant to build nuclear bombs, or atomic bombs as they were known. And so he was driving through Ellington on his Indian motorcycle, and he was pulled over by a police officer, a sheriff's deputy to be specific. The sheriff's deputy pulled him over and told him that he was driving 18 miles an hour too fast in a 30-mile-an-hour zone, and that the fine would be $10, payable to the sheriff's deputy or payable to the judge at some point during the week. According to my grandfather, after learning of the fine of $10, he reached into his wallet, he pulled out a 20. He handed the 20 to the sheriff's deputy and said, "Keep the change. I'll be coming back through here in about 2 hours." To which my grandfather...
I really hope that's true,
I hope it's true, too. My granddad said that the guy arrested him and threw him in jail for doing it. And he actually said it was a joke that I had heard, and I decided to try it on the sheriff. He said the deputy picked him up off the motorcycle, like with one hand, boop, and carried him to the back of the sheriff's deputy car for being a, quote, smartass, end quote. Now, understand, this was back in 1948, 1949. What I wish, the reason I tell you this story now, what I wish is that Donald Trump would cut the judge. I know that you can't do this. Cut the check to the judge for, let's say, $50,000 and say this should cover the first few incidents of contempt, and I'm going to go ahead and prepay for about 45 more instances of contempt because I expect I'm going to have a few other things to say about this dog and pony show, sham trial that you're putting me through when I ought to be providing the American people with the narrative as to how I'm going to control some of these fires that have gotten out of control when I am president of the United States starting next year. Huh? The defense team argued in the hearing that Donald Trump was, quote, responding to attacks when he made comments, allegedly violating the court order. Merchant pressed Blanche to provide instances of where Trump was responding to a specific incident. I've asked you 8 or 9 times, show me the exact post that he was responding to, and you haven't been able to do that once. The defense team argued that Trump did not violate the order and should not face penalty. Trump has repeatedly slammed the gag order as unconstitutional, and I think he's got a pretty good point. He's following the gag order hearing. The trial continues until it just got out of session. The court heard today from the first witness of the prosecution, one David Pecker. I will not be sharing some of your amateur jokes on the Members Nutrition Super Text line, but I will say that some of you referring to the gag order and the prosecution witness in the way that you are, you should be ashamed of yourself. No, to my knowledge, David Pecker does not have a gag order. I don't know why everybody's asking me that. He's a witness. He's not on trial. No, I don't think Stormy Daniels has one either, thank you. What? These are questions being asked on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. I've got to answer them. Look it. If you want details of this case, all you need know is this. Donald Trump is on trial for 2 reasons. One, it keeps him off the campaign trail. It keeps him and America distracted from the real world solutions that he can provide to so many of the issues that Joe Biden is allowing to happen around the globe and facilitating happening here at home in our country. Donald Trump has real ideas about how to solve some of those issues. Those are not filtering through because the mainstream media chooses to focus on this dog and pony show of a trial. Why do I refer to it as a dog and pony show? For those of you who are newbies to the audience or perhaps have not been listening very long, let's go over it again. Donald Trump was accused of falsifying business records. What Donald Trump's people would say is that they properly noted payments to his attorney as retainer payments, and those monies that went to his attorney in part went to Stormy Daniels. It was an agreement between Stormy Daniels, a former actress within pornography circles, and Donald Trump so as to prevent her from speaking publicly about what she claims to be an alleged affair. So Donald Trump paid his personal attorney his money, not campaign money, not anybody else's money. It was his money. He paid his former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, money. Michael Cohen went on to pay Stormy Daniels roughly $130,000 to quiet her claims of an alleged extramarital affair that she claimed she had with the then real estate tycoon in the early 2000s. Trump has denied having this affair with Stormy Daniels. Regardless, paying someone to keep quiet is not illegal. It never has been illegal. It never will be illegal. Falsifying business records is a misdemeanor under New York law. That misdemeanor has already run the statute of limitations. So the state of New York could not charge him in that way for that misdemeanor. But what they could do is parlay the 34 counts. They're all the same count. It's all about paying Stormy Daniels money. They could parlay that if they could attach somehow a different charge to create a felony where no felony existed. In order to do that, they attached an underlying crime. They suggested, the prosecution has, and they've yet to demonstrate what their suggestion is, that Donald Trump facilitated the fraud in order to cover up a separate crime. Y'all with me so far? This was a misdemeanor that statute has run out. It would be, if he is proven guilty in a court of law, what they're accusing Donald Trump of doing would amount to a slap on the wrist. He would pay a fine. He would move on with it. Many, many others have done this in the past. Bill Clinton has done it. He was never charged with anything. John Edwards has done it. The federal government went after Edwards, and they lost that case. These are two Democrats. Not to mention how Hillary Clinton utilized her legal team to wash money that she was sending to pay for the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total bag of garbage. Now, in order to make this case, Alvin Bragg had to bend over backwards to tie things together, and he has yet to demonstrate what the underlying crime would be. Now, I'm just trying to make sure that you understand this. So Donald Trump put down on his business. I mean, Donald Trump didn't do any of this, but he's the guy whose name's on the door, so they're accusing him. He's the guy that they're going after politically, so they're accusing him. That Donald Trump, quote, falsified business records, misdemeanor, in order to cover up a larger crime. Okay? In order to charge him with a felony, which they have to tell him what crime it is, which they haven't. Does that seem like good American justice to you? The former president of the United States of America, and more importantly, the current Republican nominee for president of the United States of America, is on trial, and the prosecutor in the case and the judge providing oversight. It was difficult for me even to get it out. The trial has started, and they have yet to tell Donald Trump's team what the underlying crime that they're accusing him of covering up exactly was. It's not illegal to pay someone to stay quiet. You can pay. If I want Bel K to be quiet about all of the secrets that I've told him about how Matt Murphy lives his life, then I am within my rights to pay him my money, and he signs a non-disclosure agreement, and he'll never tell you those dirty little secrets.
And I would encourage you to do that.
I better start pretty quick now that I bring it up. In the state of New York, what you can't do, this was all designed to stop mob money. It was designed to stop the washing of mob money. And no one can tell me what the crime is. What I have done is I have opened up a Pandora's box on the Members Nutrition Super Text line. I apologize to everyone. I'm just thankful that all of you can't see what I'm seeing. There are too many David Pecker jokes to count. And none of them, well, most of them I can't repeat.
Yeah, some of these are a little beyond the pale.
I heard he shriveled during cross-examination. That's pretty good. This whole thing is pretty flaccid, if you ask me. That's too much. That's too much. It's 22 after the hour at Super Talk. I offer a robust apology to all involved. I do. I don't apologize for this, though. I have the best when it comes to your pest needs in the business. It is U.S. Pest. The team at U.S. Pest, they're out and about reminding you that it's becoming pest control season. It truly is. You know, people in the South, we like to call roaches water bugs, you know, because that makes us feel better about them. But you know what they are? They're roaches. German roaches, American roaches, Oriental roaches are three of the types that might seem harmless, but they carry disease. A lot of disease, and the droppings have been linked to an increase in asthma and eczema. Folks, you don't want bugs in your house, and you certainly don't want roaches or mosquitoes. And it's time to get with U.S. Pest Protection to make sure that that's not the case. It's as simple as a telephone call to U.S. Pest to get them out to your place of business or your home today to see what they can do to you to facilitate some solutions to some of your pest problems. Now, if you don't have a termite guy, what in the world are you doing? If you own your house, you have to have a termite guy. And U.S. Pest, they are your termite solution in this area. I want you to do what I mentioned that I spoke to Jesse, and they were so cool because they pointed out how good Jesse was at his job. Jesse stopped by my home. I rent, and so I referred him to the property managers that control my property because I want the best controlling my pests in my home as well. But if you rent or own, regardless, it's time to get with U.S. Pest. Call 615-590-1260 today. That's 615-590-1260. Not only are they a good pest control and termite company, they are good Americans. They believe in this country and the way we do things in the state of Tennessee, and I believe in them. Protection begins with U.S. Pest. Call today. Once again, 590-1260. By the way, first hour of the show, Libertarian Lunchtime Hour, we call it. We spent discussing the demise, I called it the postmortem of the scholarship fund. Had a lot of you commenting on that. And I want to circle back to that in the moments that we have before the bottom of the hour real quickly. By the way, it's the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Glad to have you with us for the duration of the show. Whatever amount of time you give us, we're certainly appreciative of it. So, I'm going to get more into Trump trial, and I'll get more into a few other matters to include Ukraine funding coming up in just a moment. I just want to help you newbies understand, and many of you who have listened since I've been in Nashville, and I came in December of 2021. Man, hard to believe it's been 2.5 years, but it has. I invite anyone and everyone that I believe can contribute to the show. I don't suffer fools gladly. I don't put up, I don't mind a difference of opinion. I was talking with someone about this earlier today. They were asking me about Phil Williams of News Channel 5 and the, as Dan Mandis called it, the kerfluffle between Phil and myself. I just want honesty. That's all. Honesty. Be straightforward. I accept my lack of objectivity when it comes to many of these issues, and I am plain spoken when it comes to that. I try to present the facts as the facts present themselves, and then I offer you a robust opinion about said facts. But the facts don't change. And I find it disgusting that there are so many in journalistic circles or political circles that are willing to look at a series of facts, omit those that don't confirm their narrative, and pretend like they're talking truth. You're not talking truth. Omission of fact is in and of itself a lie, in as much as you're not presenting the entire picture, the entire mosaic for those of you in the listening audience, or for those in a viewing audience, or for those reading or whatever, to truly consume what's going on and to make informed decisions for themselves. In that spirit, I invite all of these folks. So many of you were amused that I invited Gloria Johnson to the show. You know Gloria. She is a sitting House of Representatives member from the Knoxville area, a former school teacher, if I'm not mistaken. And she was running about celebrating the demise of the Education Scholarship Fund. Toward that end, I invited her. Now, she's a super liberal, and she was one of these, the Bullhorn trio. You know, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson threw her under the bus and then dispatched of her, didn't they? They don't seem to have much to do with her anymore. They've got a new member of their trio, Afton Ben, I think, that they like much better than Gloria. Can't imagine why, but one way or the other.
Afton's a sweetheart.
Afton seems like a nice person. And there's a good example. We invited Afton Ben on the show. She came on the show. She seemed to have a pleasant time, said she'd come back. I talked to all of these folks. I'm not afraid of any of these folks. We're all Americans, and we are in some way or another all in this together, whether we like it or not, at least for the foreseeable future. So for those of you asking, obviously I've invited Phil Williams, and I've also invited Gloria Johnson on the show. I invite all these liberals on my show. I'm not afraid of any of them. That is not to say that I expect to change any of their minds, and you shouldn't expect that either when they come on. I don't expect that I'm going to change Gloria Johnson's mind about much of anything. What I want to do is expose that most of what you see when you see her mind is empty space. There's not a lot of there. There's not a lot of rational thought to back up her emotional outbursts, which is why they don't come on. It's not because of me. Not because of me. It's because of you. Gloria Johnson's not afraid of me. She's afraid of you. Phil Williams is not afraid of me. He's afraid of you. He's afraid of being on a platform not of his control, where he can't form the narrative and create a singular dynamic by which he looks objective, because he's not objective. And that's the entire point. He never looked at the Justin Jones story in the same fashion as he would have looked at the story were it a Republican. And if he disagrees with that assessment or denies it, he is welcome to do so on this platform or any other, because I'll be anywhere he wants me to be. It's 1:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. When United Structural Systems started as a foundation repair and waterproofing company in 1994, they had one goal in mind: to be the best and not to upsell you on anything, to identify issues and to solve those issues. They wanted to be problem solvers. As a side note to this, they wanted to guarantee themselves that they were doing it the right way by getting a 100% satisfaction rating on all different platforms. And they've done a really good job of that too, because I hear from 25,000 plus satisfied residential customers, and you can too. When you go over to USS online, USSTN.com, you can see some of their results. You can see some of the satisfied customers that will happily talk about their experience with USS. What do? They're a foundation repair and waterproofing company. They also do concrete leveling, and they are the best at what they do. Once again, they're not going to upsell you. They come in, they identify some issues, they talk to you about that, educate you on the best way to repair these things permanently without the need to make the call again. They're going to take care of business and leave you with peace of mind. That's what it's all about. When they come out to your house, they are problem solvers. They guarantee their best at USS. Go to USSTN.com, USSTN.com, or give them a call today, 615-488-7855, 488-7855. Their best is USS. USSTN.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 138. Matt Murphy and you're welcome to be a part of the show either through the Members Nutrition Super Text line, 615-737-9986. What's my hair doing today? I just caught a view of myself on the Super Talk TV side. Y'all go over there.
Looks fine.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Maybe I just caught it in an odd moment.
I call it the mini pompadour. You got a nice full head of hair, and it's doing its wave.
Well, thank you. I'm very regret. When did I make that? It was about a little over a month ago.
It's about a month ago, yeah.
I'm regretting it.
Why?
I don't know.
Trust
because
me,
I know what's coming.
You're in that zone where it's starting to bother you, but then after a couple of more months,
I need to be able to look. I've been here, done this. I've been ponytail guy, and I think we only need one ponytail guy on the show.
I do fill quota.
You do. For those unfamiliar with what we're discussing, I made a promise about a month or so ago that I would not cut my hair until we had a new president-elect. So that gave me until November.
Have you ever had really, really short hair? Like almost like a buzz cut?
I've had pretty short hair.
We should auction off.
My head looks a lot bigger.
We should auction off a chance for a listener to shave your
To
hair.
buy my hair?
To buy your hair and to shave it.
You know, you know what? I'll do locks of love. I'll do that.
They would love you got a nice head of hair. They'd be into that.
I'd do locks of love. If I make good on my promise, and I feel like I should make good on my promise to not cut my hair until we have a new president-elect, my fear is that they'll steal this one. And then what the hell do I do?
Well, if we have a president-elect, even if it's stolen, that still counts as a president-elect.
I don't think it does.
Really?
I'll need a ruling on that, but I don't think it does. I think if the sitting president wins an election in November, he's still the sitting president. He's not the president-elect.
The people that would give you that ruling didn't even want to weigh in on the last election.
Well, it's true. I'm just a little nervous. So, just full disclosure, about a month or so ago, I said, look, I feel so confident in the people of the United States of America, and I feel I didn't want to cut my hair, and I was getting grief about it from several different circles. And so I said, I'll tell you what, I feel so good about this. I'm going to not cut my hair until we have a new president-elect. That means I'm cutting my hair in November. That's how good I feel that Donald Trump's going to win that election in November.
Does Erica care if you have long or short hair? Does it matter to her?
She does not like it at all.
Long hair? She doesn't like it?
No.
Yeah, see, that to me, that's the deciding factor right there.
Well, but it also, but hold on a second. You make a point never to cross the streams there when it comes to E, but you disagree with this. She doesn't like it this length. She doesn't like it at all. I mean,
look, if it comes down to agreeing with you or agreeing with Erica, I'm going with Erica every single time.
That's probably a good plan. But on this, I've now made a commitment to the listening audience, and I'm going to live up to that commitment. I don't want to be proven a liar. So I'll do what I have to do. One way or the other, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, it looks funny today. One individual who is watching said, believe it or not, we have folks that are watching me on Super Talk TV on I guess this is the Facebook, or maybe it's the YouTube. And right beside me, they're listening to Cruel Summer by Bananarama. I currently have roughly 100 people watching me. Bananarama has 57 million people that have watched the video Cruel Summer. I've got a lot of catching up to do. It is a good song. I cannot go to the Members Nutrition Super Text line for a while because I started something that I'm not able to finish, and that mostly has to do with David Pecker jokes. No, I don't know. They shut down testimony at 2:00 Eastern, 1:00 our time. I do not believe that we got to the climax of his testimony, for those asking. He will finish tomorrow, for those asking. In the meantime, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has officially turned over all documents. This is good news. This coming to us from the Tennessee Star and our good friend Michael Patrick Leahy, who, as a resident of Tennessee and CEO and editor-in-chief of Star News Digital Media, sued to have materials involved in the Covenant school shooting turned over to media generally and the Tennessee Star specifically. The materials are now in the hands of the federal government, and the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, has officially turned over all documents related to the Covenant school shooter, including the manifesto, for an in-camera review of material. The materials were ordered to be turned over in the case brought by plaintiffs, Star News Digital Media, and the parent company of the Tennessee Star, as mentioned, as well as journalist Matt Kittle. The plaintiffs are seeking the release of the manifesto left behind by the individual, the woman identified as transgender who shot and killed 3 children and 3 adults inside of the Covenant School March 27th of 2023 before she herself was shot dead by police. On April 17th, this according to the article presented by the Tennessee Star, on April 17th, the FBI noted the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Tennessee that had, quote, provided the requested records to the court for its ex parte in-camera review. What that means, in-camera just means that the court gets to review it. It doesn't mean that it's on camera. It's just it's a turn of phrase used by the courts. The FBI's notice of submission for documents for in-camera review reads, pursuant to this court's order dated March 15, the FBI notifies the court that today, April 17, the FBI provided the requested material to the court for its ex parte in-camera review. U.S. District Court Judge Alita Togger ordered that such materials be turned over, cited in her order a significant public interest in the case, and determined that there was not enough information to justify siding with the FBI. Attorney Daniel Lennington of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, who represents Star News Digital, previously called the judge's order for the materials to be submitted a promising development. Quote, someone is finally holding the FBI accountable for its handling of the manifesto. The people have a right to know what motivated the Nashville shooter. We're a step closer to finding out more information. I'm on record as saying that I am surprised in as much as those representing the Covenant School are arguing, and one could make the case, and I'm sensitive to it, that this is a bigger school. There's a lot of parents at the school. Each individual parent doesn't speak for everyone else. And sometimes, sadly, the mainstream media, when they present the Covenant moms, for example, the Covenant moms are standing up to the Tennessee legislature. They say no arming teachers, the Covenant moms. Well, these are a handful. There are a lot of other Covenant moms that perhaps are less inclined to not give the school, any school, the resources necessary to protect children as quickly as humanly possible, to include guns. So there's a danger in casting this wide net, or, use your cliche here, painting with a broad brush when it comes to the Covenant School. However, these same individuals purporting to represent the Covenant School are arguing that we need to do everything and anything in our power to protect the school children of the state of Tennessee, and that their school and the tragedy that unfolded on March 27th is an example of how we need to be ever vigilant and do everything in our power to make sure that our children are safe. And many of these same Covenant moms are arguing that your Second Amendment rights ought to be violated in that effort. They are willing to go directly after your constitutional rights in the spirit of protecting the children. However, at the same time, these same folks argue that we should not give teachers in certain circumstances and with robust training the ability to be armed in the tragic, unfortunate, and evil event that someone comes to school to do damage to the school children. So on one hand, they expect you to give up certain rights that you enjoy from a Second Amendment perspective. On the other hand, they're not willing to give school administrations and communities the tools necessary to guarantee that we have an ability to fight back should tragedy fall on one of these other systems. And simultaneous to arguing that we should give up our Second Amendment rights, these same Covenant parents, and once again, I know I'm painting with a broad brush, I don't mean to, they're also arguing that we don't have the right to know. I would suggest that if you are going to demand that I give up certain rights that I enjoy as an American, that I need to see a real compelling public health reason to do so. If you are going to demand that I wear a seatbelt, show me the data that indicates that that's going to benefit broad public health. If you're going to demand that government intercede in certain rights that I might have to act in a manner of my choosing, then you need to explain to me where's the public health danger. If you're going to tell me that I have to take responsibility for screaming fire in a crowded theater where there is no fire and creating that panic, then you on the other side of that have to explain to me or explain to the general public or the public square the panic that will ensue that will create the public health danger so as to preclude or to circumvent my right to scream fire. Does that make sense to everyone? So while the parents involved in this case don't want any other teachers armed after appropriate training, after approval from their administration and the local communities, etc., they also say that somehow we should circumvent my right to own a gun in some form or fashion. And in justifying that, they don't feel compelled to release this manifesto at all. Well, would it not help your argument if this is all about the guns and not about the mental issues? If this is all about the guns and not about the anger? If it's all about the guns and not about the psychotropic drugs? If it's all about the guns and not about the mental instability? If it's all about the guns and not about the transgenderism even? Then why wouldn't you release the information or allow that to be released? Finally, I want to say this on this subject. I am sensitive to the nature of the subject because of the community members involved. But I am way past the time where I don't bring this up for fear that I might hurt the feelings of covenant parents. Covenant parents have shielded themselves from criticism, some of them, because they are, in fact, covenant parents. And this is a very emotional time. And the argument being made to shield the general public from these writings of this crazy person who committed these evil, atrocious acts is that it will reopen the wound. Well, y'all can't have it both ways. I truly believe that those covenant parents that have chosen to insulate themselves from any and all conversations regarding this school shooting that happened on May 27th of last year are doing so. And those that don't want to shield themselves have become activists. They are actively pursuing conversations in front of cameras about things like banning guns or restricting gun access or ownership or standing in opposition to the ability for teachers to be armed. If you present yourself in this way in front of the cameras, you yourself are reopening those wounds. I can't reopen them. So how can you simultaneously argue that the public shouldn't see the manifesto? It makes no sense to me. Am I missing something? 152, Supertalk 99.7, WTN. Your thoughts on the way next as we continue. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Join us at the Members Nutrition Super Text line or on the phone lines. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, folks, Craft Body Scan. Craft, spell it with a C, craftbodyscan.com. I would love for you to get a body scan for you and a significant other, maybe a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It's as simple as making the call that so many others have made to Craft Body Scan. This is an all-encompassing scan. I would encourage you to go ahead and upgrade to the full body scan because I absolutely enjoyed my time there. It was easy. You answer a few questions. You can ask a few questions. Then you go through the scan. It's non-invasive. You keep your clothes on. It's about 5 to 8 minutes of time, and you get peace of mind on the other end. Or they early detection is so key with some of these issues, and they can detect things far before you will ever feel them. They prioritize prevention and help prevent serious illness from happening in the first place. Normally, this is a $1,300 value. They can be yours for $49. Heart and lung scan to introduce themselves for $49. No primary doctor needs to order this. Just call, schedule an appointment, and get there. 615-436-1000, 436-1000. Call today. We'll carry over the subject next hour on the Matt Murphy Show regarding Covenant School and having it both ways. Plus, if you want to yell at me for being a one-trick pony, call me. Talk to me on the radio. Don't yell at Bell. Poor Bell doesn't deserve it. He's a nice guy. He's a lonely man. He doesn't need to be yelled at. He needs more positive affirmation in his life. We'll try to give it to him in hour number 3 on Super Talk.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Senate lawmakers working toward a full vote on the $95 billion House-passed foreign aid bill that includes funding for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, but some hurdles remain.
The Senate is poised to pass the bill without any amendments, disappointing Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who hoped to strip it of its support for Israel.
It would end aid to a war machine which has already killed 34,000 Palestinians and wounded 77,000.
Utah Republican Mike Lee opposes more aid to Ukraine.
We're not a rubber stamp for the House. We're not a rubber stamp for either party's leadership in either chamber.
Still, there's enough support in the Senate to pass the House bill as is. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
The Israel-Hamas war and impact on Gaza has led to demonstrations across several high-profile campuses in the U.S. ABC's Lionel Moise says tensions along with anti-Semitic protests are creating security concerns.
Columbia announcing classes for the rest of the semester will be hybrid, a combination of in-person and remote due to the security concerns. Yesterday at Yale, dozens of arrests for protests there. And across the country in California, the campus of Cal Poly Humboldt is closed as pro-Palestinian protesters overnight barricaded themselves inside a building.
In New York, the hush money trial of Donald Trump concluded for the day. The judge earlier held a hearing on whether Trump violated a gag order, making remarks about witnesses, including former fixer Michael Cohen. Defense attorneys call it political speech. ABC News legal contributor Kim Whaley says the judge is taking his time before ruling.
We are in the midst of an election year, so I think the court has to be careful about chilling his speech, making him unable to actually have a voice in the public square. At the same time, the sanctity and the legitimacy of the whole process and the safety, frankly, of the people involved are absolutely paramount as well.
You're listening to ABC News.
Hey, folks, it's Matt Murphy for the Glock Store. Did you know that the Glock Store 4th Annual Open House is coming up June 1st? You need to mark your calendars down. Saturday, June 1st, the 4th Annual Open House at the Glock Store. They're going to be giving away 28 Vortex Defender Red Dot optics. 28 Vortex Defender Red Dot optics. You can win raffle prizes, shooting competitions. You can win the $1,700 custom Glock that they'll be giving away. I'm telling you, Glock Store's 4th Annual Open House is going to be, as the kids say, lit. Do the kids say that? I don't know if they say that or not, but it will be. I'll be there. Chris Hand will be on hand, so to speak. Dan Mandis will be there as well. And you can be there too. Come see us at around 10 o'clock in the morning on June 1st for the big open house. Mark your calendars, or better yet, go by and see the Glock Store today. A beautiful retail space, incredible shooting rooms. You can find them online at glockstore.com or shoot270.com. And when you stop by, whether it's now or on their open house day, June 1st, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Glock Store. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We begin hour number 3 right now.
Matt.
Yes, Bell?
That was the epitome of the old man trying to sound cool.
What?
Lit.
Well, the Glock Store thing's going to be lit, isn't it?
Well, you know what? I'm sure.
I mean, Hand's not that younger than me, and he gets to say based and all that crap.
Right, but he is younger than you.
Well, I'm not that old. I had someone on the super text line. I don't know if they were complimenting me or not. I mentioned that I was 50 early on in the show. Did you see the response that I got?
Oh, yeah. People were surprised. Yeah.
There's no way that you're 50, they said.
You don't look 50. I'd say, 42, 43 maybe.
Oh, you're very kind.
No,
I was
seriously, because you don't, your hair is still, you look like you could be in your 30s hair-wise.
No, please, stop. No, please,
if you got rid of your beard, the problem you would have is you'd be babyface, and then you'd probably look late 30s, and it would just be overkill. Because the gray in the beard really kind of helps kick your age up a little bit.
I've already told you I'm going to pay you, so you don't have to keep slathering it on.
Whatever.
It's okay. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I feel 80. Most mornings. 615-737-9986. We continue to discuss, breakdown news that the FBI has now delivered the Covenant, quote-unquote, manifesto to the judge, one of the judges at least, in the case. I think there's two. I think one's in, there's two different courts that are running simultaneous on this effort. In this case, this was District Judge Alida Togger, who ordered that the materials be turned over so that she could give the in camera, that's a Latin phrase. And thank you, Kathy, for reminding me. I took Latin in college. 101A, 102B, 103C, 104D. Thank goodness there wasn't a 105. Those gerunds and gerundives got me. But I'd forgotten that in camera, Latin phrase meaning in chambers or in the room more broadly, meaning chambers. But one way or the other, thank you, Kathy, for the phraseology there. And many of you are responding to this. To that end, let's go to Sandy in Gallatin with a thought on the Covenant School and the manifesto itself. Sandy, what's on your mind?
Hey, Matt. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I watched a few minutes of, I guess it was a special, and I apologize. I haven't heard your entire show today, so I hope I'm not repeating something. But first of all, this Covenant mom acted like every teacher would have to carry a gun. She didn't, mention that it would not be mandatory. It was like teachers are there to teach. They're not there to do this. And, it was just a weak argument. And then secondly, she made a point of saying teachers should be there with the kids to keep them calm and quiet. And what happens if the teacher leaves the kids is what she was worried about, unattended. They would be there unprotected. That makes no sense at all. A teacher would not leave her classroom, to go after the shooter. I just think it's a real lack of common sense. And she also mentioned that one classroom was not locked, that it would not lock. And had that shooter come in there in that classroom, keeping the kids quiet and calm would have been worthless. They would all be sitting ducks, and they would be traumatized by either watching her be shot or being shot themselves and seeing all their friends be shot.
I think I may have seen the same interview or the same conversation that you're referring to, Sandy, and I was struck by some of the same things that you were struck by. Moreover, what occurred to me, and I don't fault the Covenant moms for their lack of information on this front, but I would encourage them, and this is as nicely as I can put this, please go to your Covenant School administration and ask them what the policies were at the time of the shooting, because it is my understanding that there was an individual on your campus who was a teacher that was authorized to carry a gun. Sadly, that person was not present the day of the shooting. They were on vacation. So it's difficult for me to take this advice or to have them offer these suggestions about how public education should act or react when the Covenant School itself, I have it on good understanding and I trust it enough to broadcast it, that they had someone within the system had authorized an individual to carry a firearm on their campus at the time that the shooting occurred. Sadly, that person was not there.
Yes, I agree with you.
So but I understand. I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And unfortunately, many, not just Covenant parents who might be misinformed or misled by others, they are intentionally misinforming the public about what this firearm bill would do. It would not require teachers to carry guns. No teacher that doesn't want to carry a gun will be required to carry a gun. It does not require any school system to participate in any of this. As a matter of fact, school administrators, principals, and even local LEOs and local municipalities can decide to opt out of the opportunity to do this. And ultimately, and I'll be quiet and let you talk, Sandy, but ultimately, it will impact rural communities, very few of them. You would have to go through rigorous training and psychological testing. Is it a valuable tool? Of course it is. Is it going to impact every school system across Tennessee? Of course it's not.
Right. I agree. If I had a second grader with an active shooter in the school building, I would hope and pray that their teacher was carrying so that if that person entered the room, they would be gone.
Well, I mean, it's a hard question, and thank you, Sandy, for the call. It's a hard question to ask, but it merits asking. If you would prefer to be armed or not armed, and you know that there is an assailant, a crazed assailant outside of a classroom full of children, and they are attempting to get inside of that classroom. Let's say that it's locked. Let's say that they're shooting through the door. Let's say that you've done, I mean, Belle, you and I have been through defense systems training. We know what to do. You go to the warm door. You go, right? You don't go if the doorway that would gain access to the room, you don't go to the wall that's across from you. You go to kind of the hot wall and go into the corner of the hot wall, and you hide your kids over there, and you make sure that you're out of the pathway to any bullets that'll come through the door, and there you are hoping that that barrier isn't breached. If you're in that scenario and you've done all the right things and you are being as quiet as you possibly can be, and you're in that hidden corner, do you want to be armed or not armed? Do you think that there's more safety involved in arming a teacher at that point or not arming a teacher? God forbid it ever comes to that. I don't want it to ever come to that.
Better to have a gun and never need to use it than need a gun and not have it.
I conceal carry a lot of the time that I am in public. If you see me in public, there's a possibility that I don't have a gun on me. And there's a possibility that I do have a gun on me. And you don't know. And that's the point. That said,
and if you see me in public, more than likely I'm standing behind you.
The point is, you don't know. I do not expect, I hope, and I do not expect that I will ever feel it necessary to unholster my gun and to fire it at someone to defend myself or defend others. Keeping your Second Amendment rights as designed is a lot like major medical health insurance. I have the insurance so I never have to use it because I don't want to find myself in a position where I do have to use it and I don't have it. (615-737-9986). Terry is next. Terry, thank you for your call.
Perfect segue. In this bill, they should have put, or they need to put, that every school in the state of Tennessee has a sign up, teachers may or may not be armed in this school. Point number 2, administrators are not allowed to say whether they are or are not. And point number 3, law enforcement's not. That keeps it a hard target of people guessing, just like you carry it.
That's right. I love it. I love it. I want the bad guys to be unsure. I think it's way past time that we gave up this idea that no gun zones or gun-free areas somehow impact or affect criminals. What are you talking about? Criminals consider gun-free zones to be target-rich environments. One of the reasons I am told, and I don't know, I haven't read this for myself because I'm being prevented from teaching myself more about the mental instability of the assailant involved in the Covenant school shooting because of the prevention of the release of the manifesto. That said, what my sources do tell me that the individual originally targeted Opry Mills Mall. Part of the reason that Opry Mills Mall was a target was because of the soft nature of the target. But until there was more surveillance done in that area, there was a belief that it would have been a mall full of soft targets, but there were too many security guards. There were too many people with guns at the entryways and exits. And because of that, the plan was scrapped. That's what we're told. And the crazed, evil assailant was not crazed or evil enough not to understand that you needed to go somewhere where there would not be fighting back. Like her old school. Mike is in the borough. Hello, Mike.
Good morning, sir, or good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
You stole my thunder just a bit ago. We do know that there was an individual that was authorized to carry a gun. Now, was that a teacher or was it an SRO type of role? Because there's commentators on your channel, on your stations, that think that it was an SRO and not a teacher.
I have been told, this is all that I've been told, that it was an employee of the Covenant School.
If that is the case, Matt, what is these Covenant moms' deal? Because they're against these teachers having guns, but yet there was a teacher in their school that was authorized to have a gun.
Well, I don't want
it's
to.
Hypocritical.
I'm not trying to correct you because I think your point is valid, but I just want to make sure that because words matter. What I've been told is it was an employee, so I don't know that it was specifically a teacher. Otherwise it would have been a staff member or a janitor or somebody in administration or whatever.
Right.
But
same difference, right?
Right. Well, no. And look, I am bending over backwards, Mike, to give these Covenant moms who are steadfastly against our right to defend ourselves, sadly, I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't know this information, and maybe they don't.
Right.
It is possible that the administration within the system chose not to inform every parent of the fact that, so I try to give them that benefit of the doubt, but I would hope that someone would get to them and inform them that they were living under that circumstance in March of 2023, and I am so saddened to report that individual was not on campus that day. Now, I don't know how much that individual could have done, but they may have been able to do something. You never know.
Absolutely.
You never know.
Absolutely. And one thing about Opry Mills, I was there a couple years ago and was going to eat at one of the restaurants there, and I did have my weapon on me. It was concealed. knowing that, it is a no-gun zone. Matter of fact, I was walking to the restaurant, and one of the security guards came up and told me that I had to leave. Now, mind you, it was concealed under a baggy shirt. How they knew that I had it with me, I don't know. But they did know, and they escorted me out and told me to not come in until I lose my firearms.
Well,
So,
and look, that's fine.
Right. I'm just saying, they are, actively
watching. Yeah.
Right.
I got you.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your call. I appreciate the commentary. It has been my policy that, I play the don't ask, don't tell card. I don't. Let's be clear. I hope those of you watching on Super Talk TV can look right into my eyes. Let's be clear. I walk into these places of business, and so many of these places of business have so many signs on their doors. I mean, it gets so confusing. I just don't see all of them. I can't stand there and look at all of them. There's so many signs. Enter, exit, enjoy the shrimp, whatever.
Be a mine ask app.
Buy two, get one free. That's right. No guns, whatever. I don't know. So I just plow on in there, baby. Now, it's a free country. You put your shingle out, you want customers, here I am. If, for whatever reason, like Mike, someone, an authority figure, a decision maker, comes to the conclusion that I am, shall we say, packing, you just thought of another pecker joke, didn't you? I know
Finish
you
your
don't.
thought.
You lie.
Finish your thought.
If they come to me and they say, hey, are you armed? Well, it really depends on who's asking how I answer that question. And that's exactly what I say. This has only happened to me once or twice in my life where someone asks you if you are armed. And I say it really depends on who's asking how I answer that question. If it is someone with a badge and they instruct me, or someone in an authority capacity within the business and they instruct me that I'm not allowed to be on premises if I am armed, I say, okay, thank you very much, and goodbye. That is the manner in which I deal with these types of things, these types of situations. I'm not telling anyone how to deal with them. I'm telling you this. There are so many signs on doors. I can't possibly be expected to see all of them. It's 2:22. Boy, inflation is everywhere, isn't it? Not so much at Nashville Safe House. That's one of the reasons that I love the fact that they've got the inventory they do. They also have scratch and dent. For those of you ballers on a budget, as they say, they have the second runs or the scratch and dents. They have them available. For the most part, they've got brand new, incredibly priced safes at Nashville Safe House. Mark wants to see you. It's a dangerous world out there. You need to protect yourself, and you certainly need to protect those things that protect you and your family. You can do that with a gun safe from Nashville Safe House. If you need to protect jewelries or other valuable items, paperwork and whatnot from theft or fire, it's time to get a safe from Nashville Safe House. If you're a business owner and you need a corporate safe, they've got one of those too. If you're a big boy and you need a vault door, they've got some of those too. It's what they do. Biometric safes, they've checked that box as well. If you need a safe, the one and only stop you need to go to is Nashville Safe House. It's what they do. Safes, vault doors, tornado shelters, and that's about it. It's their expertise. Plus, professionals will deliver your safe for you. Don't let a crackhead deliver your safe. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com. That's NashvilleSafeHouse.com. Or stop by 4th Avenue South across from City Cemetery. It's Nashville Safe House. Keith writes in, I don't see how mall security would know if someone was carrying unless he showed it or they have some sort of technology. Do they not have an ability? Y'all help me out. I don't know the answer to this, but I think some canines can smell the gunpowder.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, you can easily train a dog to hit
And
on that.
I would not be surprised if they don't have canine units that are trained on gunpowder.
They have canine units that are trained to smell hard drives.
Are you kidding?
That is how Jared from Subway got busted. Was they took a canine in his house and had the canine sniff for hard drives, and it found a hard drive with his child porn.
Holy moly. I mean, I knew they can sniff for just about anything and everything. I mean, there are some dogs that can smell cancer. We don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't deserve dogs, guys. Why in the world is the canine not the state pet or the state mammal?
Well, it sounds like maybe that's something you should get on.
I think I should. You know, the problem is that the cat lovers come out of the woodwork and they start demanding that the cats
I would
get
in
their
no way interfere with this. Spicy, Cerise, and Sammy and we would all stay out of that fight.
By the way, you don't have the Trump trial on at your house while you're away, do you?
No.
I was hoping maybe we could get an assessment how spicy your pet cobra has reacted to the
support cobra.
Emotional support cobra has reacted to the all this pecker talk.
Well, if it came down to it, I would predict a spicy victory.
Hey, man, you're cobra. In all seriousness, we don't deserve dogs for a lot of reasons. Y'all know that I love four-leggers more than two-leggers, right? I love dogs more than humans. If you ask me why, I would say simply because they deserve it. And for a while in Alabama, I championed this, and I got nowhere with it. And I didn't understand why. There are no states in the union, at least there weren't 2 years ago, and you can fact check me on it. No states in the union that have the domesticated dog as their state mammal. Oh, there's black bears, and there's, whatever. There's elk, and there's this, and there's that. What mammal does more for human beings than the dog? Now, I'm not against all of you cat folk, but come on, y'all have to admit, dogs, not only man's best friend, great companion animals, great emotional support. They do so much work for us. You've got search and rescue dogs, cadaver dogs, drug-sniffing dogs, bomb-sniffing dogs, gun-sniffing dogs. And on it goes.
I don't see any that show as state animal.
There you go.
But 13 states have a designated official state dog breed.
See, I think we should designate our official. What is our mammal? The raccoon? I bet it's the raccoon.
Let me look.
I would bet. Well, I won't bet too much. But if I had to bet, I would bet it's the raccoon because of Davy Crockett.
You are correct.
Am I?
You are correct.
Total guess.
In 1971, the raccoon was adopted as Tennessee's official wild animal.
Well, see, that's wild animal. So let's do the state mammal as the domesticated dog. And let's go. We would get so much positive attention. We love our animals. We create environments by which we can have our animals with us. We just did that slap in the face stuff with the emotional support animals at restaurants. This could maybe counterbalance some of that.
And your reason that you thought it would be the official state animal is also correct.
What, Davy Crockett?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
The raccoon, a familiar nocturnal visitor to many campsites and rural homes, and an animal associated with frontier legend Davy Crockett, was named state wild animal in 71.
I think this is why. Have you ever watched a raccoon go about a raccoon's business?
Yes.
It's the opposable thumbs that freak you out because it makes them, you anthropomorphize them because of the opposable thumbs. And I don't
walk up to a bowl of dog food and just grab a fistful.
Oh, the fistful, not eating on it, and grab something and run off. Grab the handle of the trash can and pull it open. I think that's why I have so much appreciation for watching my groundhog, Gary the groundhog, who may be Geraldine the groundhog. We're not sure, but it may be female. one way or the other. 231 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brian and Jason will get to you on arming teachers. That matter still before the State General Assembly, which is still in session, believe it or not, despite no passage of the Education Scholarship Fund. It's 231 on Super Talk. Here's the central point that I want to impart on you when I talk about Dr. Poss and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. There are certain things that you ought to do in your life. If you're feeling run down, sluggish, if you don't feel like you have the energy during the day, instead of, popping another caffeinated beverage or taking another cup of coffee, maybe assess what is causing a lack of sleep in your life. And I would suggest that perhaps it's sleep apnea. 25% of adults who have sleep apnea are unaware of it. Now, maybe your sleep partner is aware that you snore, but they're not aware that you have apnea. Now, I was one of the few that I have apnea, and I don't snore that much in the night. Well, I don't have to worry about it now because I have the appliance fitted by Dr. Poss and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. I am not just a spokesperson. I am a client, and I believe in this. It helps me sleep better. It only took me a few days to get accustomed to the appliance. It's non-invasive. You just put it in kind of like a retainer or a mouth guard in football, and off you go. You sleep a restful night's sleep. You wake up refreshed. I've noticed a difference. I didn't put in my appliance a few nights ago. This is about a week or so ago when I was out of town, and I noticed the difference when I woke up the next morning. That's how effective the sleep that you get is, and that's how effective the appliance is from Dr. Poss. Go to Dr. Poss to find out more at drposs.com, 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 and tell them I sent you to the Dr. Poss Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've successfully, in the last 2 days, avoided the nonsense spewed by Joe Biden, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and others on Earth Day. And thanks a lot. Mother Earth nestling us against her bosom and thanking us for everything that we've done for her. And you're welcome, Mother Earth. It's our pleasure. I'll put it that way.
We don't tax you more, we won't be able to protect our planet. Shut up.
It is such an absolute dog and pony show scam. I thought we had already beyond. I mean, you guys know better than me. I mean, after all, Al Gore's from round here. Did he not say that it was 2015 was the tipping point, right?
2013, and then he moved it to 2014. And he was still wrong.
Right. He said back in 2005, in the aftermath of Katrina and a couple of the other hurricanes, I think Rita was one of them, he had his inconvenient truth. What was Phil's documentary called?
An Inconsistent Truth, which is up on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, what a great job he did. Slaying that dragon that was Al Gore. But we were told that, we're past the point of no return now. So let's party, baby. Let's burn everything to the ground. Let's burn Mother Earth to the ground if we're past the point of no return. There's nothing we can do about it. In the meantime, I've avoided that, but I cannot avoid this. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister, James Marape, is now a little frustrated with Joe Biden because he disparaged the South Pacific island nation by implying that his uncle was eaten by cannibals there during World War II. Biden's comments offended a key strategic ally as China moves to increase its influence in the region. This, according to Associated Press. The president spoke at the Pennsylvania War Memorial last week about his Army Air Corps aviator uncle, Second Lieutenant Ambrose Finnegan, a.k.a. What did he call him? Uncle
Boozy.
Uncle Boozy. There you go. Uncle Boozy, he implied on 3 separate occasions, was eaten by cannibals. They never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals, for real, in that part of New Guinea. Marape said in a statement that Biden appeared to imply his uncle was eaten by cannibals. President Biden's remarks may have been a slip of the tongue, you think. However, my country does not deserve to be labeled as such, said Marape. World War II was not the doing of my people. However, they were needlessly dragged into a conflict that was not of their doing. I'm very confident that MPG has no stronger partner than Australia, and our defense and security ties have never been stronger, said Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who is the Prime Minister of Australia. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said Friday Biden was speaking to the bravery of his uncle and the many U.S. service members that put their lives on the line. He takes this very seriously, she said. His uncle lost his life serving. That should matter. It also should matter how it happened. Biden's account that Finnegan's plane was shot down was not supported by military records. Finnegan was a passenger on a Douglas A-20 Havoc transport that crashed into the ocean after both engines failed May 14, 1944. One crew member survived, but no trace was found of the plane or 3 other people on board. According to Joe Biden, this automatically means that his uncle was eaten by savages, cannibals, in New Guinea.
Yeah, 1 + 1 = 3.
If it's good enough for Joe, it's good enough for me. Brian's in Greenbrier with a thought on arming teachers. Hello, Brian.
Hey, man. Can I make 2 comments? One about that school issue and then how to fix schools?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First, with the arming of teachers, that's a no-brainer. I was moved to the end of the line because I agree with you so much. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, who's the first people they call when a gun goes off in a school?
That would be that's right, police officers who are armed.
Right. You hope, right? I mean, the guy was a good shot, too, whoever did it. Anyway, we'll probably never find out. I know they speculated, but they won't tell us the truth. And then John Drake comes on and says, 2 or 3 days later, I haven't read the whole thing yet. I don't believe that, about the manifesto and some of the things they were asking them to comment on. The other point I'd like to make is, if we would go back, and I'm not a big proponent of going back in history all the time to fix things, but if it worked, why not do it? I'm a product of public schools till the 8th grade. Then my parents, thank God, took me out, put me in a private Christian school. Then I went to a public university and graduated, much like a lot of people that are probably listening. My dad took me out, never darkened the door of a church, but he took me out of that public school. He was an employee of the public school system at the time because it was so bad and disorderly, and I was making straight A's and wasn't doing anything to earn them. And they were just passing us through because they were passing everybody else through. Luckily, some guy recommended a private Christian school, and I said, I'm not going there. And, of course, I ended up going there because my dad said to, and my mom, and they paid for it and sacrificed and got a good education, got a wife out of it. I'm married to my high school sweetheart 42 years, almost. Got 3 wonderful children, going to have 5 grandchildren out of that deal because it was God's plan, no doubt about it, because it wasn't my plan. But one time my mom come to pick me up at the public school, and she'd back in next to the shop, which was my last class. And this guy, he came out and he used the bathroom right in front of her. He relieved himself. And then there was a kid that almost died. I think they were chasing him in a gang setting back even then, 1973. Imagine that. And smashed his head in the door. And so he was pretty much brain dead, I think. They found bullets in lockers. It was awful. But I went every day because that's all I knew. And I was a good student. I tried to be nice, but it was just a terror. It was like a zoo. And I encourage people, if you are so big on public education, don't announce it. Just go to your local elementary, middle, high school, whatever. Go and say, I want to sit in the class today, but don't let them fix it before you get there. Because
and even if it's not, and I would go one step further, Brian, instead of going to your local system, especially for those that live in more affluent areas, go to the Metro Nashville system. If they'll allow you in. I don't know if they would or not. Go to Memphis. Go to a rural school system that doesn't have the resources consistent with some of the areas around town. And I am most disappointed, and thank you for the call, Brian. I got to scoot. I am most disappointed in some of those areas that did not step up and think for the entirety of the state of Tennessee instead of thinking for just themselves. I'm not necessarily here to name names. But when it comes to the scholarship fund, I understand that those of you in these more affluent areas, not only do many of you send your kids to private school anyway, and you have the ability to do so, for those that don't, you love your school systems because yours are the exception. You don't want to upset that apple cart. Well, I'm not here to lash you with a wet noodle, but we're trying to think more broadly about the educational opportunities for all Tennessee residents, not just in your community. But you get to decide for yourself how much you're willing to give up or how much you're willing to risk for the benefit of others. And I truly do believe that it would have been a great benefit. Jason is next. Hey, Jason. Jason.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Hello? I don't want to contradict you, but I'm going to speak from a law enforcement side. One of the problems that I see with arming teachers, there's a lot of districts across the state where the SRO is not necessarily there every day, right? And so I would hate to be the guy turning the corner when Coach Smith, who's the gym teacher, has a gun, and I'm a first responder, and I don't know Coach Smith from Adam. I'm looking for a person with a gun. That's what I'm looking for. And I would hate to be the person that went into a school and said that I shot that guy because he had a gun, because the call we got was there was an active shooter at a school. Does that make sense?
It does. As an LEO, are you trained to shoot at anyone that you see that is armed?
As an LEO going into an active shooter, I'm looking for a gun.
No, but you understand my question? As an LEO, are you, in that situation, are you trained that anytime you see someone with a gun, you're to shoot them in that situation?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
But my fear is that.
Well, sure. I mean, I understand that bad things can happen, but I also understand, and I'm not coming at you, I get it. I understand the legit concern, and I've talked to many law enforcement officers that share it, but your logic could be applied to every public place.
And absolutely, yes, absolutely.
So we should disarm every citizen in every public place because of the possibility that an LEO mistakes them for the bad guy.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, I know, but you understand my point is that we could use that line of thought to prevent anybody from being armed in any public arena for fear that they may be mistaken for somebody trying to do harm.
Yes, and so that's my first point. My second is, once you arm the teachers, and I worked in schools for a long time, I'm afraid that especially the older children who want to do bad things, they're going to find out who those teachers are that are armed. And if they want to get the gun, they'll take it, or other bad things will happen. That's my other concern. So I'll hang up.
Thank you, Jason, for the call. I appreciate the perspective. It's heartfelt. I can understand that. As far as the disarming of teachers, I understand that that's a legitimate concern too. And I don't pretend that it's something that, I have a fix-all answer for, except to say that I believe the benefits of this legislation outweigh whatever perception of risk there might be. If I were doing this, I would suggest that the teachers go through the police academy and become officers of the school and wear a uniform with a gun on their hip. And therefore you eliminate the issue of secrecy. 250 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and we'll talk to Brian Wilson coming up next.
Ask for objection. The motion to reconsider is tabled. State troopers, please clear the gallery on both sides. Next bill, Mr. Clerk.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy and you. What the heck's going on? I'm very confused. Oh, you know what? You know what's going on? I don't know what's going on with my metrics. If you think your smartphone's not listening to you, with all of this Pecker talk that we've had over David Pecker talk, he's on the stand, you dirty minds. A story just popped up on my feed that that Prince's Hot Chicken is opening up at B&A Airport. That makes sense. The Monday, April 22nd ribbon cutting was held at the grand opening of the new Prince's Hot Chicken restaurant in Nashville International Airport, or B&A, which leads me to my question to Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson, are you a fan of hot chicken? Have you ever tried Prince's?
Oh, I have had fried Prince's. Excuse me, let me turn down my monitor. Yes, I have tried Prince's. The first time I had hot chicken, it was Prince's, and I died.
Oh my goodness!
And I decided right then I wanted only the mildest. Can I just bring in a little hot news here for you?
Yeah, bring it.
I have some breaking news.
Let's do it.
It has just happened up on Capitol Hill, our Tennessee Capitol Hill. They passed the bill just a moment ago that would allow teachers to be armed in the state of Tennessee if they meet certain requirements. And it was quite a rowdy,
a
rowdy thing going on up there today. And I've been monitoring the whole thing. And there's been screaming from the gallery and histrionics on the part of Democrats. But it has passed. Now, it's already passed the Senate. So I guess this then now goes to the governor's desk, and I haven't really heard what he's going to do, but we're going to be talking about this exclusively in the first segment coming up right after the news here on The Drive, starting right after the news at 3.
Yes, they debated and just passed, as reported by our own Brian Wilson, who is coming up moments from now with a full-throated conversation about said same. We look forward to that. We look forward to McMurray's newscast, which is coming up right now, and I look forward to a Wednesday edition, which happens tomorrow on the Matt Murphy Show at high noon. Until then, folks, enjoy The Drive with Brian Wilson. Enjoy the afternoon. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.